You're listening to the legendary podcaster, the one, the only, TJamD. Your personal favorite, and the show you've been waiting for. Probably Offensive.
Welcome to Probably Offensive. I am your host, Anthony Scott Dover. I am alone today and by myself. My broadcasting partner is not here today. Like I said, we'll soon be back together, I'm sure, and doing shows with T Crow from As the Crow Flies. But that's not going to happen today. You're going to have to suffer with me by myself. Before we get started, I'd just like to say I have one sad note. I want to give condolences to the friends and family of not a celebrity, but one Mrs. Kemper Sharp. I didn't know Kemper myself, but she was a family member, a very young person of a family that I'm very close to. I've known since I was a kid, the Sharps. I don't have the details on what happened with Kemper, but she's passed away, a very young lady. So condolences. If any other Sharp family is listening to this podcast, I'm very sorry for your loss. I'm sure you got a lot of people praying for you and for Kemper. So I'm very sorry to hear that a young lady has lost her life. Like I said, I don't know the details of it, but it's something local here. She's not a celebrity or anything. Usually I give updates on any celebrities that have passed away, and I haven't heard any celebrities, but I've just heard earlier that this young lady had passed away. So my condolences. It's got to be a very difficult time, especially when someone is young. This person's not it's hard enough when someone's 90 years old or something, 80. But, when you're a young person and no one's expecting that to happen. So, on a personal note, it's very sad for me to hear someone who the family that I've known since I was a small child, have somebody in their family pass away at such a young age. Like, I don't even know how old she was, but she was a very young person. So have a moment of silence for Kemper Sharp. Okay. Now, moving on. I used to start this podcast out with COVID updates, and I figured that we're not going to do that anymore, because I thought we were pretty much making our way through the pandemic, and I could be wrong about that. It might be wrong, because here in Ohio there's no more mask requirements from the governor. So there might be some some establishments that still ask you to wear a mask. I know some of the major retailers were saying if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. But once that started, pretty much almost everyone stopped wearing a mask. I haven't traveled since the pandemic, so I've been in and out, going to work, grocery shopping and whatnot, and through the pandemic. But I have not traveled out of Ohio, so I don't know how it is all over the country. But I figured if more than half the people get vaccinated, that the pandemic would be pretty much over. But I'm still, first off, we're not half the people are not vaccinated. They say that there's 46% of people, 46%, very close to 47%. So that's not 50%. We need 51%. And you say, why do we need 51%? Because if more than half the people are vaccinated, that means the virus cannot affect those people. So the other 49%, once we get more than half the people vaccinated, will not be able to give COVID to those 50% or 51% of people. So at some point, you'll build an immunity. So if the 49%, if it doesn't affect the 51%, the 49% will only pass it to each other, and sooner or later you build an immunity, and the COVID doesn't affect you unless you are one of these people with a compromised immune system. If you are a person with a compromised immune system, you should get vaccinated. There's no reason for you not to get vaccinated, because those of us who are not elderly and don't have a compromised immune system by some other illness, if you have some other illness, your immune system may be compromised because of whatever other illness you've had or have. If you're a healthy person, relatively healthy, and you don't get sick very often, you don't get flu shots, or you haven't, like I've never had a flu shot. I've never had I had the flu when I was like 7 years old, maybe somewhere in there. But I've never had a flu shot, and I've never had the flu since, and I'm 52 now. So if you're a person who built an immunity over the years, and like myself, doesn't get sick, and I have not had any vaccines since I was a kid, and had the vaccines that they give us before you go to school. Before you go to school, they give you vaccines for measles, mumps, chickenpox, smallpox, polio. And those things are practically out of the world. I know there's some people who say, oh, we're having a big comeback with smallpox. That's not true. Those are conspiracy theories. That's not accurate at all. We're not having any comeback. There's no rash of people getting smallpox. Conspiracy theorists love to say stuff that they've seen online, but they have no idea whether it's actually true. They just believe it because they've seen it online. It's not the being online is so foolproof and trustworthy. It's that they just believe in conspiracy theories. So when they see something online, And, their great leader, QAnon, says, this is the truth and this is what the government is keeping from you. It's always the government, by the way, that's doing everything behind the scenes, the government or some secret society. But in any case, we're still dealing with the pandemic. We're not past it yet. And I suspect that it's because all the right-wingers think that this pandemic is political. They think that being vaccinated is political. And it's not. It has nothing to do with politics. The only reason it has anything to do with politics is because we make it about politics. But I guarantee you that the coronavirus itself doesn't care about politics, doesn't know anything about politics. It's just a virus that spreads to anyone and probably everyone sooner or later. And either you can handle it because your immune system is not being compromised and you're not an elderly person who's going to, get sick and die from COVID. But if you are an elderly person or you're a young person whose immune system has been compromised by some other illness, you need to be vaccinated. You're taking a big chance on catching COVID and dying. Don't believe the nonsense that you hear from Fox News or anybody who's discouraging you from receiving the virus. A lot of these rich people, broadcasters who work for these different news stations, they've been vaccinated. So they're sitting there discouraging you from being vaccinated because they're doing it for the TV show. They're not doing it because that's what they believe in. They're doing it for the show. And they know that their audience doesn't want to hear, go out and get vaccinated. So they're going to give the audience what they want to hear because that's where they get ratings from. If they tell the audience something that they don't want to hear, even if it's true, then they're afraid they're going to lose ratings. Those people like having big ratings so they can keep their job. They're getting rich off of being on that show. They've got a contract with the network that pays them millions of dollars. But they can be fired if the ratings go down and stay down. So people who are listening to these radio shows and thank goodness Rush Limbaugh is not on the air anymore, although they played reruns from his show for a long time on, after he died. I mean, he didn't need to die, but if he had just retired, that would have been great because he was spewing nonsense too. And big Trump supporter. A guy got some kind of medal from Trump. Literally got a medal from Trump for, I don't even remember why, but he was at one of the the presidential address when the president addresses the nation. Rush Limbaugh was in the front row one time with this medal. This bogus medal that the evil dummy gave him. But I digress. I get off on these tangents when I think about something funny that's happened.